Hello my friends. In today's video, I wanted to try out this Sennelier Aqua Mini palette. I was browsing for some art supplies on Jerry's and they had a big sale going, so I decided to check out, any supplies that I would like to pick up just for fun. And I saw this palette. I've never tried out Sennelier paints before, and I know they're very expensive and also have a great reputation. I know that they're made with honey. I mean, it's a very aesthetically pleasing brand and sounds nice. I saw this palette with 8 half pans and was wondering how these perform. I know that dry pans are much different than wet tubes, but I think that a dry pan palette should still be good. I've had a lot of palettes that are dry that I really do love. I thought that this would be a fun little palette to try out and review. This palette was $25 on Jerry's, but I just checked Amazon and it's $19, so I think it depends on the retailer you buy it from. So first off, I swatched the colors. All of these activated beautifully and were easy to lay down on paper, but I have a couple of qualms with the color selection in this palette. I guess I should have thought about it when I purchased the palette, but I just saw like a primary palette and decided to give it a try. They chose to put a lighter brown in this set, and that's fair. I'm able to layer it, but I just don't think that it had as high of pigment as I would have wanted it to. Since there are only 8 colors in this palette, I wanted to see what blends between the colors would look like, how they would flow into each other, and even though like the red and the green aren't particularly great colors to blend together, I feel like in a palette this small, you should be able to blend all the colors together to achieve any color that you need. They have beautiful texture, and I would say that half of the colors are granulating. I'm not very versed in watercolor language and the types of watercolors and pigments, but from what I can see, a couple of them seem to be granulating. First off, I decided to lay down a wash of color over the face. It was kind of like this pale lavender color. And then I started to add some skin tones to that underpainting so that I could have a base where I could add details and actual brighter colors. I also decided to block in all the hair with that black color, which is a very, almost like a Payne's gray. And I really did love the black that they chose for this palette. While I'm waiting for this paint to dry, I wanted to talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is Green Chef. I'm so excited to be working with them. I've worked with HelloFresh in the past, and now Green Chef is owned by HelloFresh to offer a wider array of meal plans to choose from, which is extremely exciting for me because I've been slowly trying to eat more vegan or plant-based at any rate. I'm trying to eat a little bit more healthily with whole foods, less processed foods, and I know that meat is not good for me or for the environment, so I'm trying to slowly wean myself away from it. And working from home as a freelance artist, I tell myself I'll just eat later because I don't want to stop being productive, and that is in large part due to not knowing exactly what to cook for myself. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well, with dinner options that will work for your lifestyle and not the other way around. Ingredients come pre-measured, perfectly portioned, and mostly prepped. Green Chef is the first California certified organic farmers meal kit company, and that is important to me because I try to eat as much organic or non-processed food as I possibly can. Green Chef's options for every lifestyle include keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, fast and fit, Mediterranean, and gluten-free. I had the Korean-style tofu tacos, and let me tell you, they were so delicious. I particularly loved the sauce that this box came with. The mayo was the sriracha ginger mayo, and I've never thought to put ginger into a slaw. I always do like a sweet slaw, but not a ginger, so I definitely am going to be doing that in the future. Go to greenchef.com and use the code SarahTepes130 to get $130 off plus free shipping on your first box. I'm so excited to continue eating my Green Chef meals. Thank you so much to them for sponsoring this video. Now that I've had a delicious and nutritious meal in my body and I'm ready to keep working, my paint layers have dried and I can start adding details to my painting. I need to talk to you guys about this color selection. I did not enjoy it at all. First off, I need to talk to you guys about the consistency of these paints. They activated so well and they were very creamy to use. I liked the formula of these paints, first off. So I can see myself picking up Sennelier paints in the future or curating my own color palette with Sennelier paints, but if I'm going to be honest talking about the color selection in this palette, I'm so confused as to the choices that were made. First off, we have a really bright yellow, which I think is good. It's like a lemon yellow. It could either be warmed up to make an orange or, you know, add green to it to make it like a limey green. I liked the yellow. The red I was so confused about because it's this really warm, bright, almost like a cadmium red, and I just don't understand why there was specifically a warm red put into this palette. I think that a cool red would have made a lot more sense because you could mix a cool red with a yellow to make an orange, but you could mix a cool red with a blue to make a nicer purple. Because the red was so warm, any purple that I tried to create was really muddy and dull. This very bright, limey grass green, a deeper, more muddy, like olivey green, the light burnt sienna color, and then a beautiful black that seems to be more like a Payne's gray. So out of the colors that I really did enjoy in this palette, I would have to say that the one that I loved was the black because it had so much dimension and like an indigo hue to it. However, I think that the red really threw off this painting process, and I was just not so satisfied with the colors that I was able to create because a lot of them were a lot more muted and pale. I've realized that I do love like a purple or a really like bright pink or magenta in my palette so that I can have some of those more pastel tones in my pieces. And while this palette blends well, it seems to be more of a natural color palette in the end. I think I would have preferred something with more modern colors or selection that included modern colors, and I think that the colors chosen for this palette would be good for plein air painting, or if you just do a lot of naturescapes. I'm just so confused as to why there wasn't a cooler red or a pink in this palette, even though there's only 8 colors. I'm even confused as to the purpose of the olive. While it's pretty, it could be mixed with the brighter grass green and the brown. I would use them again for the formula, but the color palette is just not something that I usually use. It's an odd review because I think that the actual quality of the paints is good, but would I personally recommend this little paint palette? If you like the colors, yes. If you don't like the color selection, then I don't recommend it. Feel free to like and subscribe for more content. Thank you so much to Green Chef for sponsoring this video, and again, head down to the link in the description and use the code SarahTepis130 for $130 off your first box plus free shipping. And with all that being said, have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!